I'm Crystal Graham. I'm joined by AFP editor Chris Graham. We're talking a little bit about a story that appeared on Augusta Free Press this week about a family of a man who died in police custody who wants answers as to what happened. This involved the Augusta County Sheriff's Office, a man who was arrested at Augusta Health for public intoxication on May 5th and ended up basically dead on arrival in the deputy's car. There's a lot of questions from the family. Chris, I know that you've been back and forth with some family friends and that kind of thing. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more.
Well, Crystal, you mentioned you reported first on this back on May 5th. The man in question who died, Stephen Garenser, 39, of Staunton. He's also he's only been recently living in the Staunton area, from North Chesterfield, much more recently. He died on May 5th, as you mentioned. There were a series of things that happened the early morning hours of May 5th. That was Monday of last week as we're recording, where he originally there was a call from the Fishersville Sheets saying that Mr. Garenser had refused to leave the premises. Nothing given as to what had led to a request for him to leave the premises. But that was around 3:30 on the morning of May 5th. Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene. Then around 4:18, there was a call actually from Mr. Garenser himself requesting aid because of some issues. We really don't know the nature of that. When that call was responded to, he refused to be transported by emergency personnel, but he did agree to be taken by a sheriff's deputy. Um, he then refused treatment at Augusta Health. Augusta Health called, as you mentioned, security there was dealing with him around. It was 5:18 a.m. when a call was made to 911, and when police responded, he was there was a altercation of some sort, a scuffle of some sort, there at the scene at Augusta Health, with the call again being logged, and the response being logged at 5:18. Between 5:18 then and 5:45 a.m., as there was a period of time there where the deputy, whose name has not been released, would have been taking Mr. Garenser from Augusta Health in Fishersville, getting on the interstate 6481 up to the interstate exit there, the second Staunton interstate exit, to go to Middle River Regional Jail. It's a pretty quick trip. But at 5:45 a.m., then the sheriff's deputy was getting ready to unload Mr. Garenser from the vehicle, found him not breathing, unresponsive, and life-saving measures were attempted but not successful. So, really between a 2 hour period, roughly, roughly between 3:30 a.m. and 5:45 a.m. on Monday, May 5th, all this happened, where originally a call from Sheets, there was something in between where he called 911 himself, whatever happened at the hospital, and then 5:45 a.m. he's dead. He's 39 years old. Crystal, you and I, when you first reported on this, and we were working, as a writer editor team on this, we had questions. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that you and I had questions about this, and so it's not a surprise that here we are, 10, 11 days later, still asking very serious questions about what happened to that man in that 2 hour period, especially the 27-minute period between the Augusta Health incident
Well,
and Middle River Regional Jail.
and in that brief struggle, that was the word that the sheriff's office used that happened at Augusta Health. I certainly can understand why the family wants answers to this, and if they get stonewalled kind of the way that we did when we did some follow up this week to try to get some answers as to what happened during this brief struggle. Again, from my understanding, an Augusta Health security official was involved, as well as this sheriff's deputy that was involved. Was it something that happened with the brief struggle or something else related to, if it was public intoxication or the person was on some kind of a drug? Could that have played a factor? The truth is, we don't know a lot, and the sheriff's office isn't answering any more questions. They've referred this to Virginia State Police. Virginia State Police got back to us this week and basically just said the investigation is ongoing, and therefore they're not willing to make any kind of comment as to what's happening. I reached out also to the medical examiner's office in Richmond to see if there was any kind of report available. That's where bodies are typically sent, and especially in cases of murder or when foul play is suspected. And even sent a request in through the Freedom of Information Act, and I was told basically that there's an exception and that this information is not available to us as journalists or the public or anything else. I reached out to Augusta Health to see if the employee had perhaps been disciplined in any way, or if they were just on leave temporarily while this investigation was ongoing. Augusta Health spokesperson basically said that the security employees are not technically employees of Augusta Health, and that, to her knowledge, no employee is no employer, no third party is under investigation related to this matter. So it seems that whatever did happen likely falls to the deputy. I reached out to the sheriff's office again, Chris, to find out if perhaps the deputy in question was on leave. We get news releases all the time. And typically, when the Virginia State Police is involved in any kind of like an officer involved shooting or anything where an officer and someone end up dead, right? That the Virginia State Police typically, the protocol is to put that person on leave temporarily while the investigation is ongoing. Sometimes they're just sent to desk duty or something like that during that time. I can't even get answers about something as simple as that. And like you said, we certainly, the family has said that they tried to get video, dash cam or, body camera footage, and that's also been denied. So I can't imagine being in their shoes. And it feels like, Chris, even though we're trying to follow up on this as well, that, I can understand their frustration, because there's frustration on our part that we can't get anybody to tell us anything.
Well, and so yeah, the part of the story then where the family and close friends reached out to us. Wade Garrenser, his older brother, Stephen Garrenser's older brother, had posted to a private Facebook group, and then a close family friend, a guy named Gary Bone, reached out to us. Gary said that he served in the Marine Corps with both the Garrenser brothers. And he brought this to our attention just at so it's one thing for I can understand the media and the public not being given information. Maybe I can understand that, but even the families being stonewalled, as you mentioned. Here's some of the quotes from Wade Garrenser in his private Facebook messaging. He said, quote, "There is real injustice here. I truly feel like Stefan was assaulted to the point of his death." More from Wade Garrenser. Then he says he was a handicapped, mentally ill patient at a Sheets at 3:30 in the morning, in handcuffs and under custody. He dies in the back of a squad car at the police station. All I want is for people to read this message, he said, and maybe gain some insight or help out. But something is awry here. He went on to write, "It is unbelievable the amount of work and the amount of hours, literally hours, I spent on the phone having to call the police department back to get some form of information, which ultimately results in me calling another number to leave another voicemail again." So, I mean, if this is your loved one, if this is, your friend, whatever the case may be, and we're 11 days past whatever happening here, and you're leaving voicemails, you're being, just like, and we've experienced it ourselves, and it's not our loved one, but as you mentioned, Crystal, you reached out first to the sheriff's office. They tell you to contact the state police. State police says no comment, so you reach out to the health department, and the office of medical examiner. Nothing there. Augusta Health says nothing. I mean, a guy died in the back of a police car.
Well,
Something
and I'm just
happened.
going to bring up too, Chris. Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of question marks regarding this, right? And there's already a lot of public distrust sometimes of police, and so this kind of thing only fuels that a little bit more. But the other thing that this friend of the family brought up was the aspect of mental health, and his brother himself mentioned mentally ill at Sheets. When you bring that into the equation, you think of things like, there are crisis response teams in many areas that respond to situations like this instead of police, to try to de-escalate things. And it sounds like there was an entire series of events that mostly involved police officers, and maybe that police officer, that deputy, was trained in some kind of crisis training or that kind of thing, and maybe not. We don't know because they haven't released the name of the officer or any information surrounding the incident. But in many areas, and Augusta County, Staunton, and Waynesboro has been working with Valley Community Services Board on this kind of a response. The problem that I've been told from Valley Community Services Board is staffing these. They have equipment that came from the state. They've got a mobile response unit that's ready to go, but they don't have the mental health employees. That's apparently very hard to come by, and you just don't know what these salaries and things like that are either for something that's obviously I guess I would like to say a difficult job to do, responding to crisis all the time, or behavioral health issues or things of that nature. And we don't know that if a crisis response team had, gone to the home actually, I guess they haven't given the address of where that other call came in when the individual himself, Mr. Garenser, called them. So you don't know if the response would have been any different, but of course, always having mental health professionals who deal with, people who are mentally ill every single day, there perhaps could have been a different outcome. We don't know any circumstances. We don't know if the person died of natural causes. We don't know if they died, as the family says, maybe of some kind of an assault, and we certainly don't know if there was any kind of drugs or alcohol involved in the situation. And it is frustrating. It's frustrating as a journalist. I can't imagine being in his brother's shoes right now.
So we can conclude here, I suppose. I mean, we're still following the story, obviously. We've got those requests out. We'll put more out. We're going to keep in touch with the family. Wade Garenser, his older brother, again, has been, at this point, all we can do as journalists is not let this story get swept under the rug. And so we're going to continue to, try to press the issue there. I don't know that we're going to be successful, but the family's going to do the same thing. I understand from Gary Bone, the friend of the family, the friend of the Garenser brothers, that the family is working on getting an attorney to work on their behalf. I don't know that an attorney is going to be any more successful in getting answers, but we have to hope for their sake. I mean, and so, yeah, we don't know what happened. We're not trying to cast any aspersions here on anybody. We don't know what happened. Crystal, you laid it out there. It could have been a number of things that happened in between, the 5:18 a.m. and 5:45 a.m. Time frame there. But the family deserves answers. The public deserves answers. And
Well,
so
and it does seem like just classifying it as a brief struggle is not enough. I mean, there should have been some details provided, even if there is an investigation, even if they're waiting on the autopsy and the results of that. It's like you said, it's been 10 or 11 days now. We've had plenty of time for them to process that information and at least give us some kind of preliminary information as to what might happen. I think of the Crozet shooting in Albemarle County and how the police chief there provided information very quickly as far as the timeline and what happened. And I feel like here, again, the sheriff's office is pushing this off on the state police, but it seems like we should get some answers.
I
So we'll
will.
stay on top of it for sure.
I will throw one more thought in. I've covered some other stories involving the Augusta County Sheriff's Office. One comes to mind: a sheriff's deputy who was accused of, eventually charged with assault in a case where there was a multi-jurisdictional pursuit that started in Augusta County, ended up in Albemarle County, and the state police got involved, handled the investigation, gave a recommendation from its investigation to the Albemarle County Commonwealth's attorney, who then decided to bring charges. So, in this case, everything happened within one jurisdiction. So, I guess what I'd say there is I know there are going to be people who are watching this, listening to us right now, saying, well, of course, the police are going to exonerate the police because that's what police do. Even though it's state police and sheriff's office, they all work together. In that case, the state police did recommend that charges be brought against a sheriff's deputy. Now, there was a separate Commonwealth's attorney than our Augusta County Commonwealth's attorney involved. I guess what I'd say is we would probably, in this kind of a case, if something comes to fruition to that end where a recommendation would be maybe charges are merited in this case. we would need the appointment of a special prosecutor outside of Augusta County, outside of Tim Martin, the Augusta County Commonwealth Attorney. Not to say that he would be biased, but just, in these cases, that's common. So, but I want to say I have a little faith that the state police will handle this investigation, and they have recent evidence. We have recent evidence that says they will handle this investigation as an independent agency, and if charges are merited, they will. I don't think that they'll hesitate to recommend charges be brought.
Right. And for people who don't know, that's typically how things happen. The Virginia State Police will, they'll file their report, but it goes to the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, and that's where charges are either, made or not made. Sometimes it goes before, I guess, a grand jury to make some kind of decisions about indictments and things of that nature. That can play out for a considerable amount of time. Again, I think we're just looking for basic information at that point, and it's got to be very frustrating. It is frustrating, not to have that. So, something definitely to stay on top of. Well, by talking just now, Chris, it makes me realize that maybe we should reach out to the Commonwealth's attorney and see if they have any information right now. I know it's probably another wall, but another avenue to explore, I guess, that we haven't done so yet.
Probably another no comment, but I mean, yeah, thinking out loud. I mean, I think we need to probably get some sort of on the record declaration from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office that that Tim Martin, the Commonwealth Attorney here, will recuse himself and maybe ask for a special prosecutor to be looked at in this case. So yeah, there's still some more work to do on our part here. And again, all we're trying to do is get an answer for the family and for the public.
All right. So for Augusta Free Press, Chris Graham, we're going to wrap this story up, but you can continue to follow our coverage on AugustaFreePress.com.